All right, wholeness, everyone. We're about to get started in just a little bit, not yet. I just wanted to make sure we started another chat so we can start with something fresh. That way, post production is not too crazy. All right, wholeness, everyone. For those that just joined, we're about to get to it. We got about 2 more minutes. Just refreshing myself, getting this computer ready, and we're going to be jumping right into how to make this happen, like how to actually make a living beyond a living. What does that mean? I make a living on it. It's like, so I'm dying until then, but to really go to that next level and to really do well. All right, here we go. So I'm going to wait for a moment just for a confirmation that you can hear me in the chat box. And all right, so if you can hear me, just say it's clear and I'll go ahead and start. What's up, Lars? I see a lot of people that I know in the chat box. I was like trying to add everybody, and that's kind of how I ended up finishing that first recording, because I clicked the finish button because it was looking like the send button. But, you know, of course it helps because we need to reboot the thing. But I see a lot of people in this chat, and I just feel so connected to everyone here. So it's really my pleasure to, you know, have the honor to just be the first person that introduced, you know, if you haven't heard about cryptocurrency or really looked into it from a deeper level. Also, anybody who's just coming on, remember there are some previous videos to this. We've literally stopped the thread 3 times, which leaves it in good chunks too, because I know some people just need enough to digest and then kind of come back for it. So there's 3, looks like now 3 videos. And so if you kind of just jumping in and you're like, man, what is this? Go to the beginning, because we were laughing because we took it back. Like when they talk about, man, hey, yo, take us back a little bit. We went all the way back to, yeah, I mean, we went back before the trees were here. So it's really one of those times to get just completely educated again about not just cryptocurrencies, but also how life rolls, and it still requires you to really learn certain things about your event of what's actually happening. And then once you crack that, and that's like in your DNA, which is like your own coding system, from that point you're like, okay, I got that down pat. We don't need to die anymore. We don't need to, you know, go off into doing this XYZ. That's wisdom, right? So the world is full of knowledge. The symbol of knowledge is a snake. You know, it's honestly, all these symbols, they're so telltale to what they actually mean, because man, it's like, let me just, you know, I got to do a quick cipher real quick. Let me see exactly where our panel is. Like, if you look at this, they say that this symbol right here, this is like one of the master symbols on the dimension. My marker is giving up. So let's see how this works. So this master symbol in this dimension they have it like this, right? And what's here, they say, is a snake, right? So this is like a code. This is a code. Anytime I see these kind of things, it's like, I don't even be thinking what other people be thinking about this symbolism, because they don't even know what it means. So they could only guess. But when you read all the knowledge and you read it and you've lived it, there's no more guessing. So snake is actually a symbol for 2 things: passion and knowledge. The reason why is that, see, up here, this is one thing, and down here, this is another. And the only thing that they really have going on for each other is that they're not alike. So this keeps them from coming together. This is kind of everybody's story on a microcosmic level, okay? The spirit and the soul and all those different things. There must be something that functions as the glue, the bridge. And that's why I was saying the most key point to always be is right in the center of your conscience, the arbitrator, not the one who's always right, not the one who gets left, but the one that's right there in the middle. Because in this arbitration point, what happens is that the reason why this symbol is the passion is because passion, like that, still wanting to unite with the opposite, right? Like this, these are symbols for phi, right? So wanting to unite with that opposite, the passion has to be there, and we know about the passion, so we don't gotta go too deep into that. And then see where the knowledge comes in is what you learn because of your passions. Don't our passions get us into the craziest scenarios? So that's where this knowledge comes in. But then there's one more, and it's called wisdom. Because this means that you've actually begun to apply this, and now it's turning into something. So you see how just that symbol alone could be completely misinterpreted by a person who, and this is all matrix code right here. Like this, see, when we're talking about outside of the matrix, it doesn't mesh with this code. That's why people don't know what happens. They think that everything comes from somewhere, and it doesn't. That there's an infinite of something never born from anything. People are like, what the? It doesn't comprehend here. It's a whole nother code. You would need to unload this and then reload that. But while you're here, you can actually master this code by the realization of these different levels of knowledge and teachings, which of course is always one of the things that we're getting to in the university. So with that being said, actually, I was up there also to explain very briefly, just so you understand, so this makes sense what we're going to look through right now, what exactly an ICO is. Because this is like the course that everyone needs to have that they didn't get, and I didn't get it either, so I didn't get it. Literally, I didn't understand companies and things like that from one level, which is a key level. A key level is that, you know how, see, we're honest people. Like, we want to do the best that we can. We want things to work, okay? So let's say, for instance, if we take an investment, let's say you have a company, okay? And you're going to take an investment. Most of the time, this is going to come from your family. It's going to come from your friends. It's going to come from the people around you that believe in you, okay? So you don't want to cheat them. You want them to get their money back. So there's a lot of weight on an entrepreneur when they're trying to start a company to that first. Do I feel like my idea is good enough to pay these people back? Because I definitely don't want to let them down. So that's the first hurdle most people have to launch in a business. That's actually for good people, good business people. That's one they never really make it over, because you got another person or way of being out there that they basically will create a company knowing the company is trash, knowing it's selling the cheapest, most rottenest, worst stuff, okay? And not even have a moralistic bearing about that at all, because there's another thing. Because we believe that, well, still technically for a company to be successful, they need somebody to buy their stuff. So if they're selling bad stuff, nobody would buy it. Well, what happens is that, and then also, and if nobody buys it, then they're going to go bankrupt. Misconception. This is what happens. See, when an IPO starts, let's just say, I got to come up with a name that's not another name. Candarthia. Okay. So let's say this IPO, a public company, an international public company, or is going to become one called Candarthia, decides that they're going to go public. Right? They're going to now start asking everyone for money. You would think that, well, the only way Candarthia can actually become worth a lot of money is if they make a good product. No, it's actually based on how many people know about Candarthia. It's based on the marketing that's done. There's people that they use different techniques. So that was like, let's make a craze for it, then say it's not available anymore, then bring it back. Then they go through whole processes of how they know they're going to launch something. The core of its fundamentals of what it doesn't even matter. That's actually how this whole marketing angles and all this stuff is set up. It's like, at the end of the day, it could be a crummy product, but this IPO can go through the roof because everyone believes that Candarthia, based on these commercials, based on how many people say you got to get into this stock. And that's what's driving up this value. Okay, now this means that the money that was initially invested into Candarthia, when the people that know business invested it, they knew they were never going to get that money back. Okay, meaning that when they gave 100,000, 200,000 or whatever into that company, a real investor knows technically you're never going to get your money back like that. Like, they're going to start selling a lot of things and you're going to see the money. You're going to get your money back if they're capable of selling who they are to the rest of everybody else, and they want in too, because that's going to drive the price of what you have up. And this is called holding. So that's how they have a portfolio. You have shares, and you're holding all these shares because you're trusting that there's going to be more punched into the company to make it more lucrative, make it more valuable. So this means, of course, for a real business person, what they're really not even looking at anymore is the product. This is why it's so hard to get a good product out, because they're not even looking at the product. They're like, how many people do you already have? What kind of branding did you do? Like, let me see your picture. Let me see your merch. Let me see your white people. Let me see your, and it's like everything that doesn't have to do with actually what you created. It's all the, like, let me see the machine behind it. Who's working with you? Let me see your LinkedIn people. Let me see them on LinkedIn. Let me see how many people they're connected to. That's how they're coming at it. And they don't care. They don't give a shit about the product. So this means that IPOs has made thus far for entrepreneurship a shitty business. It's basically made people actually have to produce the worst, like even to have the merch, some of the stuff that this stuff says, it's just basically bottom feeders. because this world never has had much potential. Not only is it extremely difficult to create something in the first place, then it's also, if you ever went to this level, this means that they've already basically had to sit down with you and like, but hey, you know, it's inside. Basically, that's what they call it, insiders, right? That's what they say they supposedly caught Martha Stewart for. Insiders that saying, hey, you know, Kendarthia is about to go public. Why don't you go ahead and position yourself? They're going to have initial offering. And then now you got a bunch of people in. Then it goes public. Then now you're just hearing about it. You just buy it. And that was just what I explained to you before. First day, next day, or next few weeks or whatever. So this is that world. That's that world of how business has always functioned. The world that many people, unless they're actually entrepreneurs and you start having to pay taxes, that kind of thing, are not too familiar with. But the top feeders, the real sharks, and there's some sharks out there, they train each other. They got shark training out there now. So they train each other. Yeah, it's definitely not about the company. Who gives a damn about the product? It's all about your Ferrari and blah, blah, blah. And they go in on a whole nother level that's foreign to us. So thus we have not prospered in their world. And their game is rigged, meaning that also still behind the scenes, even something tomorrow, like if you put 200,000 on, you think it's going to go somewhere on your side of the screens, it didn't. And on different places, you know, it's like it's highly prone to fraud. So now what an ICO is a utility in the same respect that each of these companies are saying, okay, we're making dolls that children will love. We're creating a battery that has less efficiency. We're, you know, so every single, just like there's IPOs, ICOs are saying, hey, we're creating our utility for specific things, okay? So also this ICO, just like the IPO, goes public, and then it starts to offer other people the opportunity to buy into these coins at that percentage, okay? So this is what we're talking about, all right? So one second. We're not going to close it down here. I just want to take a look at my notes. I want to clear this up. All right. And I just wanted to make sure that's clear, because other than that, you know, for a real thinker, the next thing that's going to come to their mind is like, okay, so all these different IPOs and or ICOs and these coins, what are they doing? How are these people just starting up something from nowhere? That doesn't actually sound solid to me. And that's why I was saying 95% of it is actually not as solid right now. But you got, like, this is still so early. It's like the luck of the draw. Sometimes just by being there, you know, it's like being in the right place at the right time, you can actually end up, maybe they started off as, you know, hey, we're just going to go grab these few $1 million, you know, because you see a lot of people getting together, that a lot of tech heads, a lot of people, again, they have some semi-qualified LinkedIn profiles. There's literally a criteria of becoming a successful ICO that's really more superficial, like what the first page needs to look like. It obviously has to be designed very well because it's talking about code. It's like basically things that have so little to do with the utility, because the utility is the unique part. That's the real idea. So just like with anything else, if you don't have a unique idea, person, or state of mind, you kind of create something that everybody else is creating. And that's actually where a lot of ICOs actually happen to find themselves. Their utility is basically the same as other. Secure, sending, non-decentralized, and they the same thing. Why some of them, like Monero and others, are unique in different ways. And that's what you need to be paying attention to, because you got some people that are not, that in that 5%, they are really intelligent already. They get it. They've been through night after night of realizing that, hey, there is something to this. It is working. So, and they've been in 4 or 5 years. So they've watched it. Okay, it's working. Like for me, when I got a hit on it, again, it was only about, I guess, 2-3 months ago. And then, you know, it just started coming up in my dream field, and somebody mentioned it to me. And then all of a sudden I was like, okay, let me take another closer look. And then when I took a closer look, personally, it brought me to tears. And, you know, I'm not, you know, somebody, they see me cry today. I was like, yeah, okay, what's happening? He's crying again? No, it brought me to tears because I have personally worked, just me. This is something I'm doing still in my own being, all the self. 7 years, almost 16 hours a day to push something that I know is going to happen. And to me, the only thing that measures when it's going to happen is how much I can push. And I will say that just because we launched off on this level of manufacturing, it's been amazing. Like to be able to create Fiaqua and all these different things that I've explored and what I've learned and all that, it's amazing. I'm not desisting on that. But I'm also still, I have like a real quantum mainframe going on back there. So it's saying, you know, it's not even telling me, hey, based on these calculations, you still know that, in the time in which you need to be in a position, you'll still be that much more still behind another alternate reality that is not going to go the way that you ultimately can see this. You need to move faster. Let's give them some wings. And it's because like we all are collectively projecting something. So at some point it should come flying through. It's like, yeah, it's coming. It's like your autonomous car. You didn't call it like Kit. It's like, okay, I'm out front. It's been a middle time. It's like, yeah, it's coming. Don't worry about it. And this is what I feel like this kind of system is. It's like, okay, it's wings. Because now you don't got to like go to China. Like I was saying earlier, international banking. Now you're in China trying to set something up. It's just you. You're coming in there. They're looking at you weird. You're 6 foot towering over everybody. It doesn't connect. You see what I mean? So the thing is that now this is removed. No one can come into this thing. And like I'm even still a novice at the level that I'm at. I'm just absorbing it rapidly. But no one can come into this just because they came from somewhere else to now profess to know like so much about it, like a George Soros or somebody that actually has a lot of power in the fake matrix. But then coming into this, it's like your cred comes from a whole different thing. Your cred comes from the uniqueness of utility that you can create. Your cred comes from true trust, because trust actually creates what? God. It basically creates what we can anchor to. It's like, okay, this one's stable. This is what we did with Earth. It's like I can plant seeds here. It's stable enough. It looks like it's the hurricanes, earthquakes every now and then, but this looks like enough to where we can grow something. Like we got to think about the beginning of this, about what we agreed to be doing here and what this is all about, because all that draws nigh, meaning that it is a really reap what you sow. You plant it out in the field during the day, which is like the beginning of the new moon. Already grumpy, you start off, and then all of what you're now reaping from that point, then full moon, you're going to reap your harvest. It's like it's guaranteed. It doesn't run on the same mechanics as this faithless system that they got going on, of false trust in a God that we don't know. So this is what also you can start an ICO. We're going to talk here and get deep into this about getting involved. But just directly, once you understand utility, if you're hearing it from me, like I'm not going to tell you to go and start some crap, like not as a reflection of who we are. Do your research, start reading. I'm going to show you some websites. You could check the stats of every ICO launching out. You can read what is their utility, so you even get an idea of what the hell is a utility on a blockchain. But also realize that this is not too far from where you're at as far as understanding. So for a moment, you'll be like, man, I don't know, but then start thinking, well, I always wanted to be the bank. Like, I am Paymaster. I said, if I ever rap, I'm going to call myself Paymaster. Don't take my name, but Paymaster will be there. Like ATM just throwing out cryptocurrency. So here we go. Let's go to this now. And we're going to look deep into it. Now that you understand ICOs, what you're looking at first, and let me do this in my methodical order in which I wrote it down. So what you're looking at first, and let me go here, and we're going to go to our great site, Bitrix. It'll take you some time to get signed up for, but you'll be able to. So let me see something real quick. Okay, what's going on here? How do I get into Bitrix? Where is it at? Okay, there it is. That's what I'm trying to get to. Okay. Okay. What we're looking at is an exchange, a cryptocurrency exchange. And I'm not here to go through all of these coins with you today. Like, you can call my man the boss of Bitcoin, Brandon Kelly. You can actually, somebody can add Brandon Kelly who has him as their friend. I'll actually do it in the chat box in just a second. Let me see if I can get it real quick. Man, check out the brother. Like, he really took me into a crash course of, what it was about. He made me see it another way. I felt like he was really, really connected. And, just from the level of, you just know when people are real. That's it. We have a real sensor. So, I linked up with the brother. He really gave it to me from every single angle. And I sat with him as far as on the consultation. He's got some stuff on his site, super inexpensive, just to get yourself, aware of what kind of coins are moving in what direction. You can also do, again, a consultation with him. And then he's got this method that he's using called the boss method, because he's the Cristo of cryptocurrency. I love the way he says it. And basically this method is watching these markets like the Fibonacci sequence, because these are real people. This is not a machine. Like, this is not, see, like when you got these shareholders in stocks, you don't know where that stuff is. It's been traded and flipped over and all this. This is somebody's wallet of what they have. So you buy the amount that's in that wallet. This is as you go deeper into this site. When you go in and buy coins, you'll be actually buying them out of somebody's wallet. Still, just imagine you got that kind of transparency. And then because we're real people, you'll watch the market move. And that's what Brandon is saying is about the market really moves based on how people move with their energy and what they think is going on. And I guess one of the last drivers to the market that I think is rapidly going to stop becoming so relevant is actually Bitcoin. And it's just because a lot of coins are still dependent on Bitcoin status. Like if Bitcoin goes up, coins kind of do well generally. But again, none of those are exactly in stone, because you'll see coins that when Bitcoin goes down, those coins are going up. So the logic to why is actually in understanding the utility. It's not, you know, it's a few different things. You know, you want to find as many ways as possible. One, you can read the Fibonacci, you can read the statistics of how it's moving. Two, you can understand it as a utility and what it actually is doing. And then you can also go to boards that they do nothing but talk about this, because, you know, you don't also have your time. I know a lot of people don't have time to sit on this all day, but you can get added to groups. We obviously have ambassador training. We're talking about it there. I'm pushing it out as much as I can, just in, you know, in moderation to also what else is going on. And but we have a clear pipeline to this progressive movement of not only understanding this, but also understanding how this can work for all of us as a community and all of us as a tribe. So this first aspect, again, that I'm showing you is that you're seeing, again, where the trade here. And so you're not looking necessarily at a gambling house. And so you got to really make sure your mind clicks with understanding that this is not like when you're looking at E-Trade or whatever. And then you got these companies hooked to this computer and they're all this centralized system. Hell no. That's actually how it gets tampered with, right? Like, now we're talking about trust. Like, maybe let's just be benefit of the doubt. Maybe they're not doing that. But why do I got to trust that they aren't? And there's another word that's used in cryptocurrency, which is key that you remember. It's called trustless. When I first heard that, I took it wrong. I was like, hold on, trustless. Wait a minute. I don't know if I want to be involved in something that's trustless. And then I was like, hold on, slow down, cousin. Let me hear what's being said. Trustless means I don't have to trust you. The mechanism is beyond that. You don't ever have to question yourself in your mind. Is he really going to do it? Or is he really not going to do it? Are they really going to be able to allow me? Once you understand the utility, it doesn't require you to actually trust that the utility is going to work, because the code makes sure that it works. So that's why a new word called trustless then gets created. And then that word, let me just readjust my camera here real quick. But that word actually becomes the true essence of, let me just anchor this way. That word actually becomes the true essence of where you really want to be. And what I mean by that is that I don't really want people to have to go into their monkey mind to determine if they trust me or not. Like, people have been through all sorts of wild situations, right? So when they're looking at you and they're like, should I really trust him? Or should I really trust him? Is he really the truth? And it's like they go through all this thing, and most of the time they end up short-circuiting themselves. We get in our own way, so there becomes a judgment, and then we decide not to get involved with it, even though it was like a massive thing. Like, somebody can judge me and say, well, you know, but he doesn't like Santa Claus, and I just can't. Anyone who doesn't like Santa Claus must be evil. So then they like, and if he's talking about cryptocurrency, then cryptocurrency is evil. So this is kind of like the association that the monkey mind seems to make with its fuzzy logic of how it's putting together that it knows everything already, and that it's really, you know, that's what I say. You got to make a sober estimate of yourself every day, so you don't imagine you're more than who you really are, like, or else you forfeit your own recovery, right? And then on top of that, an alcoholic, you know, if you want the road to recovery, you got to say that you're drunk. If you don't want to admit that, hey, maybe you've been caught with your pants down. Maybe you've been hypnotized a little bit. Maybe you think things are one way and they're really not. Maybe you need to reanalyze the entire thing that you think you are, get rid of it after you have to defeat it, and then go ahead and go on to your next thing and fly into your new spatial, because that's what you would really be doing, and it's already there. So understand it from this way. Let's keep going. Getting into that new spatial, you still got to catch the bridge though, right? And that bridge is what? Money. A whole lot of spending money to do it right, child. It is a serious thing. Like at the end of the day, these organics are expensive. So even like trying to eat right and all this stuff, it's just like, okay, in a declining economy, you almost have to like basically go to whatever it is. We go to whatever it is that you're actually doing. Basically, it's like, that's what it is. So anyway, this next level of this, let me just take a drink here, a sip, is to understand that this is not a gambling house. Okay, so if you do your research, you're in. If you want to get a little bit more risky, you're on your own. That's not what Uncle Sevan said, but there is some bona fide, what we call the dream team. And if you already got your ear to the ground, you understand your utilities, a little bit of money, $100 here, $100 there, you want to do it anyway. You mean that you want to actually feel like you're now doing what you're supposed to be doing, investing, like not just letting it either sit there or you just spending it all on the next fix, the next gadget fix they come out with, iPhone 900. So this is the thing. It's like you can watch the money go there and then it will start to build. But also remember, if it just stays where it is when you first buy it, that's good enough because you're just simply moving your money out of the hands of the crypt keeper, right? And you're releasing it into the hands of you're now the bank. It's like, okay, I can hold my own now. I can hold my money. We can move it over here so that you're not looking at it and doing all your weird stuff with it. So here's the next thing. And remember, it's not also just about your profits and things. It's also building a new level of consciousness that's possible, right? So even if I buy 10 coins of something cheap, I'm still ultimately investing in the sovereignty of the current flowing through my world. So the more that I have over in one world that actually has some responsibility and less leakage, because that's what we talked about before on how the monetary karma, which is like, well, what did the boss do with the money before he gave it to you? You know what I mean? Like just, all of that extra holding with that currency, right? So this is a chance to also vacuum all of that out of the dimension. Think about the metaphysical aspects of this, right? So again, there's also, you got low investment, high return possible in here with your research. And you also have low risk with your research. Like sometimes, you see something and you was out at the beach, whatever. You missed the entire week. The coin and went 5,000%. Now it's recovering from that. And because you were out, you're still holding that coin. So now it's less than what you even bought it for. Don't panic. If you had already done your investigation, next week is going to be back to at least to where you bought it. And then it's going to start making that climb from there. And that's what Brandon is talking about, that whole process is generally more on the Fibonacci sequence because people they move on like this real instinct. It's like once they buy something, they're like, yeah, I'm going to hold it. They're like, okay, it's getting up to $3. It's getting up to $3. I should just pull my money right now. So, they just go into this weird thing. And because, again, they're using it as a form of profit. So that's why we're going to talk about today about, yes, it's a profit again, but it's also, putting your money out of the system somewhere where it actually will be if something happens to the system. And then ultimately putting your egg in a better basket so that it actually can grow into something or has the potential to grow into something. And then the icing on the cake, it's not even like, if you need to go and do something with what's there, you're just cut off from the system so you can't get your money back into the system. You actually can. So speaking of that, I got to talk, and it's not in my notes here, but I got to talk real briefly about, okay, so here's the deal. I know a lot of people are joining from the U.S. I know somebody that sent a specialist link, and we have might send an affiliate link in there. Come on, guys. So anyway, so I want you to think about this. So when you go, okay, so if you're living in the US, okay, and you have to go, let me see right here. What happens is that, so obviously there's some people who did burn it out, like meaning that, the whole anonymity part of this whole thing and them not knowing who you are and all of that started becoming the biggest issue and stiflement actually to cryptocurrency for a certain level of things to kick off. And that's where people can start using it and then start being able to transfer it back into money. because what was happening is that if they don't know who you are and they don't know who you're buying from or any of that, they don't know what kind of deal could be going on. So they can only assume the worst. So this was, in the beginning, there were all these different currency exchanges, like what you're looking at right now here with Coinbase. There's more. Essentially, there's more availability for people who are outside the U.S. or saying they're outside the U.S., et cetera, for getting into different markets. But what happened is that there became like this free-for-all, basically. And in this free-for-all, there was literally lots of exchangers and digital currency exchanges that were just starting up overnight. And this is how people started getting hacked, because obviously if you're going through an exchange and you're using a crypto wallet, long story short, there's a potential to get hacked if the site's not doing its proper security. So this became like a big thing, is that, another way to implement a little bit more control over everything so that everything's not super transparent, especially when things are coming from fiat, like as far as who's making that transaction. They started regulating other sites. And so they pretty much got it down into the internet to where if you're in the US, or you just want to say that you're in the US, you have to use something like Coinbase at first to get your fiat into cryptocurrency. Now, let me be very clear here, okay? This also depends on how much you're planning on trading in the first place. You're going to trade $500. You can go and get a $500 money order. And actually, there's some traders out there that will take that money order receipt, or you can send it to them and they will give you put into a wallet for you. Okay. So that's like if you just wanted to come in all the way completely. See, right now, there's no regulation. So you're not doing something illegal. We're not showing someone something to do illegal here. We're just putting them way up on game before there's any regulations. The biggest regulation that they've had is that Coinbase, through one means or another, where it was buying out other exchanges, trying to levy certain requirements to other exchanges, like basically snitching on other exchanges, saying, hey, they don't have blah, 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 blah certification. So it should be known that they don't have that. So people know that their money is vulnerable, XYZ. So at the end of the day, Coinbase, who's also GDAX, and probably a few other people, probably Poloniex, but they end up buying up all of the exchanges to get fiat currency generally from a person living in the United States, also wanting to connect their Bank America account and all that kind of stuff, into being able to buy cryptocurrency. That's Coinbase. Coinbase also has an app. Coinbase only really sells, not only really, but Coinbase only sells 3 coins: Bitcoin, Litecoin, and Ethereum, right? And so those are like, again, legacy coins. So with those coins, you can go and buy any other coin. But when you want to go and buy those coins, you actually got to go and buy those coins from another exchange that's broader, like Bittrex, right? So Bittrex has all these different coins on the market, and these are all wallets. So this is a bigger market to buy coins from, and this is what you're definitely going to need if you want to invest in some new coin that's coming out, or some of the coins that are obviously not on Bittrex. Okay, so that's that. So this is one part of this. You can actually start to buy coins, monitor that whole thing. That's one way. So you basically become some kind of crypto trader, okay? That sounds crazy, but anyway, that's the term. So what happens is, now there's another level to this, that you can go into mining, right? So how this structure is set up basically is it's set up just like the old times of kind of thinking about how gold worked, okay? So gold need to be mined. The gold is then taken to the bank. It's exchanged for something that has value, mainly fiat. And the miner keeps moving from there. So there's a part of mining, or there's a part of this process of exchange that requires mining. I'm still getting deeper into all of what's being done through the mining, but to make it easy on your understanding, you could say it's also connected to the transactions that are being processed, how fast those transactions can be processed. And because they're using a code, it takes some time for the computer overall power to transact this code, to basically update all the ledgers, etc. So what powers that to happen, or part of that, is mining. So you're basically getting paid to make sure these transactions go through on certain levels. You can kind of understand it like that, okay? Now, mining has been going on for a while, and in fact, a lot of people have made millions on mining, especially early. Like, there were success stories, like guys that went off to college, first heard about Bitcoin, heard about how you can mine it, took their computers, one of their raggedy computers, put it in the basement, hooked it to some internet, started to code, put it on the screensaver, and just left it. Kid comes back after college, he's got 10,000 Bitcoin. That Bitcoin is worth 5 million and climbing. So there's a lot of success stories around just basically people who are the oddest people coming into having a large amount of wealth because they started off this way in mining. Right now, mining is actually now starting to hit a peak to where enough people know about it to where mining equipment, which is basically it's basically equipment that's specifically configured for to mine coins. Okay, there's different kind of mining, but we're not going to get into that. There's script mining, there's GPU mining, or ASIC mining. We're good right there. And so what you're looking at is this machine is configured to mine coins. And so early in the game, even something this powerful, like you would be owning a lot of coins because it has that much power in it. But as with certain coins, because this is for people who are really looking to make money off mining, they need to have the strongest machine. So how this works is, and I'm trying to keep it from being complex, is that the more people that are mining, the more complex it becomes to mine. It's like another one of the fail safes in the system to keep it neutralized. Not to mention the hash power or how much it takes to actually hash a block becomes more difficult. So this kind of like regulates it in a certain way. And now the greatest regulation is actually on the chips themselves, which China is producing the most of. That you can't even buy an Antminer right now. It says buy now. You go to the page and whenever it gets there, it said, okay, so now they're actually allowing, but this is December shipment. So honestly, I may jump off the car with y'all right now. At the cart, it's time. But serious, like, it's that crazy. You're going to watch this within 2 days. They're going to be sold out again because there's people now that are even buying them and they're just holding them to charge people more for them later. Now, I will say, remember, that again, people are not actually making as much money on mining as it used to be. Oh, damn, I got to demystify mining for everyone. Let me just see how the easiest way to do this. Okay, so right now there's a standard amount that you're going to get paid for mining. So let's say, for instance, that amount, last time I looked at the numbers, is like, let's say $600 and something a month. Okay, so you pay for this thing if you get it on the pre-order, $1,700. So that means technically within 3.5 months, it would have paid for itself, and then it's cash from there. And minus, what you're paying for electricity and all that, but that's about as much as you would make if you get on it now before everyone else. Now we can already assume there's going to be a November batch. In October, there's going to be November batch, so the complexity is going to go up. So even that $600 of what you would make is probably going to be more down to $400 now. But still, the beauty of mining is there is still quick ROI, return of investment, based on general investments. Also, you got the equipment there. You can't stay in the house. It sounds like a vacuum cleaner, so this is like a garage kind of thing. But you got the equipment, so your money's there. I'm still demystifying, but I'm pretty sure you can actually point a L3 Plus, which we just looked at. You can point it actually at other coins. So you can actually mine other coins. And if you kind of wanted a way to, like, instead of just keep buying coins, even though they're rather cheap, but keep buying coins, you just want to, like, have this endless coin making thing. This is what this is. And so you can actually, and I'm still digging a little bit deeper into this because I've had now a conflicting salesperson, and that's why, I'm not sure if what they're saying is true because I've seen edgewise, but a conflicting salesperson is saying that an L3 Antminer can actually only mine one script, mainly Litecoin or something like that. But I've actually seen where some guy was saying that any script miner, which is what this is, can mine all script coins. And so there's still a little haziness in there, but there's also just direct script miners that can mine coins. So just to demystify the whole thing, this is how this site right here is the hottest thing going right now, period, on the internet. Like I said, when I get off this phone, I'm going to jump in because what happens is in about whenever it runs out, that it's going to say no more, but then you're going to see a lot pop up on eBay. And they're going to start off probably around $2,600. All the way to $5,000. There was even some guys just paying $5,000 for them. Some kid that's like, Dad, we're going to be miners again. And it's like, well, son, what's the ROI? 12 months? Do it. And it's like, because normally they're coming from a world that you get 5% weird, like, shiesty numbers, right? So This is a hot thing. Mining is hot. This is not the only way to mine, though. From what I've seen, because, I'm not personally in watching a lot of videos. Yeah, exactly. I'm watching a lot of videos. You can actually, there's companies like, I think it's BitConnect. Okay, so like BitConnect and Genesis Mining. And what these companies are initially basically designed on is the idea that instead of like doing the mining from your house and being responsible for the electricity, the consistent internet and all those kind of things, that you can hire a company to, like, you could buy a block of like hypothetical equipment, right? That they will basically lease to you with a contract, and then you will make everything that rig mines. And then they also have like some incentives, like if you get other people to join up underneath you and all this kind of thing. Now, BitConnect seems at this point so solid because people are really already using it. But on the back end, a lot of people are like, man, BitConnect, like they like have people overextended in attempts to how much their belief they're asking for. BitConnect, I think, was at 16, or something silly. It was like 1.6 billion. Yeah, you can put me there. Or anywhere you feel is good. So BitConnect is basically seems to be like one of those things that are going to be a lot more long term, because regardless of if a lot of stuff that it's doing is a little bit shaky, there's so many people involved, it can carry out whatever they're doing for a more prolonged period. So this brings the key term that you should understand that's going to be thrown around sometime, which is a Ponzi scheme. For those that don't know what a Ponzi scheme is, it breaks down to basically paying somebody else with someone's money that's just coming in. So paying your people that came in, let's say 3 months early or 3 months ago, with the people that are just coming in right now, and you just kind of keep funneling the money, but you're also taking a large amount of the money. And then eventually it blows up into like where everyone loses their money, and that's called a Ponzi scheme. So BitConnect has been accused of being a Ponzi scheme. But that's kind of like common rhetoric, meaning that this is basically a world with different type of people. Some of them they've been sitting in their house all year in a basement on a computer, so they ain't even seen daylight, and they're now given a voice. So it's like you hear all sorts of things going on. You got naturally negative people. It's a brand new world with no police. So that's what you're dealing with. So, so the thing is, okay, so you have this cloud mining, and this cloud mining is, you got BitConnect, you got Genesis Mining, and this is basically like you're buying machines. Like my main place that I would kind of like, just to kind of steer away from all of the doubt, I would prefer if a person is looking at this kind of what they call like cloud mining. But in this case, it's just like you're seeing it through the cloud. You're seeing what your rig is doing. I would recommend NiceHash, because NiceHash already has a reputation for, if you have your own rig at the house, you can hook your rig up to NiceHash. And what it'll do is it'll configure everything for you, and it'll switch through the coins for you that are best to mine. So NiceHash is like the main site for that. And now it seems like NiceHash has started now offering for people to come in and buy parts of it, or parts of equipment, mining equipment in this case. So this is one of the things that you can actually look into, and that's another level of it. So you have, I'm just explaining every single route here. So you got your ant miners, you got, which we just talked about, you got your online cloud mining, you got, which we're gonna need to get into, 2 different types of mining. We don't have to talk about that right now, but you have ability to mine. Okay, so, and also you have the ability to mine. Once you get a rig, you have the ability to mine pretty much any coin. Once you get on Bittrex, you have the ability to buy pretty much any coin. So the reason why I always say, because, sometimes it's like looking at the miner, it's like the miner is obviously a no-brainer. But see, in certain tenses, if you already have some cash rolling through, you already have some capital coming through, you can switch that. And you don't have time to be like trying to managing a mining rig, which is still not super intense, but you just don't want to deal with it all together. You live in an apartment. You can still, basically, it's only a little bit of your money to actually invest in some of the most best bets in the coin world right now. So it's a person. So that's what I'm saying. You got to weigh it against that. You got to, like, if I got extra $1,000, $2,000 coming in every month anyway, or 10,000 or 20,000. If you want to start a mining operation, it's still going to be beneficial. You may be an investor, throw 20,000 in a mining operation, get all your money back in 4 months, and then you're making a profit. Also, remember the next push to this is you can, let's say it could be making $600 a month now as it's quoted or stated. But if it starts rising up the coin, that $600 and that ROI becomes drastically less. So this is something massive to realize. So last but not least here, because we're at the end, you got one more way, and this is not something that actually somebody told me about, or nobody told me about until just recently, and that was my great friend Dens in London. And what he brought up was also there is another way, and it's called master nodes. This is for the person who also has really some capital to throw around in it, thinks mining is a little risky or noisy, and also doesn't like, the whole day crypto trading thing. You can actually buy what's called a master node. So just to make this very simple, what it basically is you're buying enough coin for you to be actually relevant. So meaning, let's say BitCloud is right here, right? So BitCloud says that if you buy 10,000 coins, you will have one master node. And that master node, they're selling that node for $6,405 right now. It will make $62 daily, $434 weekly, $1,889 monthly, $22,667 a year, as long as BitCloud stays alive. And if BitCloud does better, these numbers go higher. The time in which you reap your initial investment, $6,408 comes back faster. It's that simple. And also, many of these coins give you a seat on the board because you're a major investor when you buy nodes. Remember, this one said Eternity is selling their nodes for $163 for the whole master node. So the thing is that, remember, some of these are like penny stocks, as what you would call them, to where they have just a small percent in there. But remember, it's still how much you invest. So if you invest $100 in a penny stock and it goes up 6,000%, you're paid out accordingly. So, but master nodes is another way to keep a portfolio. There's a little bit more to this. You kind of get like a master node server, I think Dens was saying, and that's basically like some equipment that just handles part of what you're doing. And they say also you earn extra for what you're doing. It's called gas, and it's because you're allowing the transaction to occur. Because let's say if you have 10,000 BitClouds and somebody wants to buy them, 5,000 of them, they don't have to try to consolidate 10 wallets to sell that. They can just go to the master node, which would be you. Like, yeah, he's got 10 coins on hand. We just need 5,000. We're going to do it through his system. And that's how that works. And then you get gas, which is a slightly accruing amount over time because you're actually creating the transaction. So this is a whole nother level. And that's pretty much the ins and outs of it. Like, I think I did the best that I could to really this was wild because we literally went from like a whole different thing. But I really feel, again, more than honored to be able to deliver it on this level. Obviously, you're going to hear a little bit more from me about it. My job right now in my mind is to become efficient. So basically with this, meaning just to boil off all the extra, understand truly what controls the market. I know there's some people that are running around right now and they really want to seem like they're like all on something totally different and they know something nobody could know and all that, and they're trying to protect it. But crypto ain't running like that, baby. Like, it's something that you want to give freely because there's more than enough. Like, you're talking about a new bank. And the thing is that, think about it this way. When new banks open up in the world, actually, they give away money, but they call it a loan. You see what I mean? In this world, it's an investment. And that's the biggest difference. More power to the people. So that's what I have to say. We'll be getting with each other soon. I want to say to everyone, if you have not seen or heard about Ambassador Training, it's something you want to check out. We got a tribe that is just amazing. We're connecting every other Sunday at least. We're building conscious entrepreneurship. We're showing people how to keep developing what they're doing. We're giving also levels of integration, this kind of knowledge. We're always looking for the true, vivid, clear path to actually this sovereignty. So we are very focused in doing that. Super jubilant. It's been an amazing time. I'll be talking to everyone soon. Wholeness and balanced vibrations.